You can live with someone, text them all day, split the bills, share a bed, and still feel completalian. That is not just a private failure. It may be one of the quietest crises in America right now. In 2025, Americans aged 15 and over spent an average of just 0.58 hours a day socializing and communicating, while they spent 2.61 hours watching TV. And public health data shows about 1 in 3 US adults feel lonely, while about 1 in 4 say they do not have social and emotional support. So here is the real question: if we are more reachable than ever, why do so many relationships still feel emotionally starving? Why do people who love each other end up feeling unseen, unsafe, or shut out? Because the biggest threat to intimacy isn't always a lack of love. Sometimes it is self-protection, and that matters because for most Americans, a spouse or partner is not some side character in life. It is often the first place they expect emotional support to come from. A lot of us grow up learning how to stay safe, not how to stay open. We learn not to need too much, not to say too much, not to look foolish, not to get rejected. Then adulthood rewards the same habit. Keep moving, stay efficient, don't be difficult, answer the text, pay the rent, get through the week. From the outside, that can look functional. From the inside, it can feel like slowly disappearing. America has become more isolated over time, and that larger trend shows up inside private relationships too. And this is where the research gets uncomfortable. Decades of relationship studies have found that intimacy does not mainly grow from saying the perfect thing. It grows through a process, honest disclosure, and then something even more important: perceived partner responsiveness. In plain English, that means feeling that the other person understands you, cares about you, and takes your feelings seriously. Not perfect wording, not clever timing, not relationship hacks. Responsiveness. That matters because most people think this first move is to hold back. Say less. Hide the need. Swallow the disappointment. Keep the peace. But emotional suppression comes with APRS. Longitudinal studies and meta-analyses show that when people regularly suppress emotion in daily life, they report more depressed mood, more fatigue, lower self-esteem, less acceptance from others, and less relationship satisfaction. Over time, greater suppression also predicts drops in relationship satisfaction. In other words, the armor that feels protective can become the thing that keeps love from reaching you. Now, some people hear that and think it means radical honesty, emotional dumping, saying every thought the second it appears. That is not what the evidence says. Openness without safety is not intimacy. It is exposure. The same research that highlights disclosure also shows that closeness depends on how the other person responds. If your truth is met with ridicule, contempt, or cold indifference, closeness does not grow. So this is not an argument for having no boundaries. It is an argument for replacing performance with honest, adult vulnerability. There is another twist here that feels painfully modern. We often confuse access with intimacy. We assume that because we are constantly in contact, we are deeply connected. But studies on romantic relationships have found that deeper disclosure offline is linked to greater intimacy and satisfaction, while greater disclosure online can be linked to lower intimacy and satisfaction. That does not mean texting is bad. It means a message is not the same thing as being known. You can send paragraphs at midnight and still never say the one sentence that actually matters face to face. And the cost is not just emotional. It shows up in the body. Research on married couples found that negative communication patterns like demand withdrawal and mutual avoidance were associated with higher inflammation and even slower wound healing. Think about that for a second. The climate of a relationship does not stay in the relationship. It gets under the skin. What feels like just the way we argue can become part of the stress your body keeps carrying. That helps explain why this matters so much to ordinary people. When your closest relationship feels emotionally safe, it does not stay neatly inside your love life. It spills into your sleep, your stress, your patience with your kids, your focus at work, your confidence, your health, your whole sense of future. And when the relationship is strong, the opposite is also true. A 10-year longitudinal study found that perceived partner responsiveness predicted increases in deeper, long-term well-being. So the feeling of being understood is not a soft luxury. It may be part of how we build a life that actually feels worth living. The hardest part is that many people think the answer is more strategy. Better rules, better scripts, better psychology language, but the evidence points somewhere more ordinary and more difficult. The people who feel close are usually not people performing best. They are the people who tell the truth a little sooner, and who learn how to stay present when if the person tells the truth back. That is why even brief moments of real connection matter. NIH guidance makes a hopeful point here. Small interactions can still be a first step toward rebuilding connection. That can start smaller than people think. A specific sentence instead of a silent resentment. A real answer instead of I'm fine. 10 screen-free minutes at the edge of a long day. Listening without building a legal defense in your head. Asking one honest question and staying in the room long enough to hear the answer. You do not fix emotional distance with on a dramatic conversation. You usually fix it by creating enough safety for honesty to stop feeling dangerous. So maybe the real crisis is not that Americans have forgotten how to talk. Maybe it is that we have learned how to protect ourselves so well that we no longer know how to be known. We know how to signal, manage, optimize, and cope. But intimacy asks for something more dangerous and more human. Honesty with boundaries, vulnerability with judgment, and attention that does not keep looking over someone's shoulder for the next distraction. And that leaves one final question. In your own life, what are you calling protection? That may actually be loneliness in disguise.